Last month, TNT and NHL have reached a deal to air hockey games for 7 years, and as wrestling fans know, this might put a damper on All Elite Wrestling that airs on Wednesday nights. In my last video about AEW, I predicted just that they might want to expand their sports programming. If that's not profitable for TNT, then they're certainly not going to just let them stay on their network. If TNT comes across an exciting new show, or if they are ever in a situation where they would be expanding their sports programming, then they will want their Wednesdays back. So fans might be wondering, well, if AEW is doing good ratings, then they should have nothing to worry about. Well, let me show you some things about the new TV deal and the programming all around it. First, so, people thought that NBCU was going to renew their NHL package, but instead, Turner secured the deal by bidding a sound $225 million per year. So, what I have gathered from press releases and other news articles, NHL will air games on TNT for 7 years. They specified that the regular season, that spans from October to April, would air on TNT. TBS will air playoff games along with TNT from April to June, and TNT will air the Stanley Cup Finals in 3 of the next 7 years, with ABC broadcasting the other 4. TNT will be airing up to 72 regular season games. Is this a problem for AEW? Yes. The AEW deal, from what I have gathered, is exclusive to TNT. They cannot move to TBS, True TV or any other Turner network. When TNT aired the NBA playoffs last year, they had to switch nights or time slots. They could not go to TBS. If they could, they would have, like SmackDown was able to air on Fox Sports 1 a couple of times. So, I made a little graphic of the sports programming and related programming that airs during the fall. You can see AEW as well as other anchor programs that I colored in red. You might be thinking, well, certainly TNT has enough room for NHL. Yes, they do have room, but that doesn't mean that TNT will just place a program in a slot just because it's available. They'll want the slots that will get the best viewership. So basically, AEW does not have any control over when and where Dynamite airs. NBA airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. TNT's original series, such as Snowpiercer and Claws, believe it or not, air on Sundays. I believe they also do have original programming on Mondays. They aired episodes of I Am the Night not too long ago. And during the NHL season, NFL will air on Mondays and college football will air on Saturdays. So the only days of the week in which the NHL on TNT would air unopposed are Wednesdays, Fridays, and early on the weekends. Now yes, Disney also scored a deal with NHL, but they aren't going to air as many games as TNT will, only about 25. Yikes. What makes matters worse is that they also have TV deals with the NBA and they have been broadcasting basketball on Wednesdays since 2002. So, the chance of them airing hockey games on Wednesdays is very slim. Otherwise, AEW might have a chance at staying on their night. But looking at the NHL schedule, there's about 180 days from the start of the season to the playoffs. If TNT has to air 72 games each regular season, that would mean they would need to broadcast 2.5 games each week. Oh shit. Now they will need at least 2 days of the week to air these games. Unlike the NBA, however, hockey is not that short of a game. It will take around a half hour longer to finish a hockey game due to intermission and other ad breaks. So you can't have double headers in primetime, unless you want fans to watch until 1 in the morning. You'll have 1 game on primetime, and probably 1 or 2 weekend games. Now, is it possible for the NHL to take the Friday slot? Fridays are available, but that's only because nobody wants to air programming on Fridays. WWE practically were so desperate to be on a platform like Fox that they were willing to take the Friday slot. I don't think NHL would want TNT to air hockey on Fridays. I've read that TNT is looking to go all out on their programming and giving it the same effort like their NBA broadcasts and studio time. Plus, they're spending 5 times as much money on NHL than they are on AEW, so it wouldn't make sense to put the more expensive program on a day like Friday. Could the NHL air games on Monday? Yes. They certainly can make way for NHL on Mondays. But of course, they are going to go head-to-head with Monday Night Football. I've yet to see any national cable network attempt to compete with Monday Night Football, and they would get smash in ratings, so it's not worth it. Can TNT put all their NHL programming on the weekends? Again, yes they could. But it doesn't mean they will. If Disney airs hockey on one weekend, TNT will probably air hockey on the other. I don't think the NHL is going to be content with TNT airing games without a primetime slot. Not to mention, NHL would be going head-to-head with college football in the NBA. And with Saturday night, they're not going to cut it. Just like Friday, it's a dead zone. So to summarize, Monday had football, Tuesdays and Thursdays have basketball, Friday is very risky. Saturday and Sunday you might expect one game per week, but not all hockey programming. So that leaves Wednesday. Nothing big is happening Wednesday. The only sports competition that night is the NBA, no football, it's not towards the end of the week, it's great for a primetime slot. And considering how much money TNT is giving the NHL compared to AEW, why wouldn't you prioritize the more expensive program? Now what would you expect Tony Khan to do? Go.
Excuse me, hockey people. Wednesday is our night. So, could you please let us keep our night? And you can choose a different night?
What do you think these executives would say? Sure kid. We'll just eat crow while you remain in the time slot that we've been wanting. Yeah. NHL has had its own Wednesday night brand on the NBC Sports Network, simply called Wednesday Night Hockey, that had gone on since 2012. And I bet they're going to want the Wednesday slot. This is exactly what people thought would happen to NXT, is that the NHL would renew its deal with NBCU, but with the NBC Sports Network getting discontinued, the NHL would need a new place to air their games on Wednesdays, which would be in conflict with NXT. When NHL had playoff games last season, they had to air a Wednesday games on USA Network and NXT would needed to air on Tuesdays. Now, why do I think that NXT moved to Tuesdays anyway? Maybe they knew about the NHL making the deal with TNT and how much money they would cost for this new programming. Maybe they switched nights so that they would get away from hockey. That may sound crazy, but who knows with TNT's investment. Maybe it will end up being the most exciting hockey program. At least NXT can afford to move nights. With AEW, where can they go that wouldn't greatly harm them? They can't do Mondays or Fridays, or WWE would wallop them, who knows? Maybe AEW wants to take a crack at going head-to-head with Raw, but certainly not football. And any other move seems like a bad investment. AEW has pay-per-views on Saturdays. WWE has pay-per-views on Sundays. What other option is there, late night? So those are likely AEW's only options. Choose a different time slot and take a loss in viewership, or get the axe. And I wouldn't be surprised if the latter is being solidly considered. AEW has not been a quality show. Production is subpar, storylines just disappear out of thin air, 80% of their talent has no direction, embarrassing moments happen on a constant basis, and it wouldn't surprise me if TNT executives are watching this and going, why is this on our network? Just think about it. It's a 2-hour program that airs every Wednesday night with no off-season. They are giving them $40 to $45 million per year and they do things like a man being tethered to a pickup truck by his feet and Sting chasing after it on foot. Or even just this past week, where Jericho falls on cardboard and they pretend it's steel. Just what are they doing with that budget? Or hell, they just have Jericho out there with such a poor physique. I mean sure, you have people tune in. They have gotten over 1 million viewers at times, but that might not even mean anything to advertisers. You got people like Tony Khan and Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho going, oh, we've got good viewers, we're going to stay on the air. Without even realizing what other wrestling promotion was on TNT before them. WCW, ECW, TNA, they have all been the most watched programs on their networks at one point, and they still got cancelled, whether it be because the show wasn't profitable or the network came across a more lucrative program. I am guessing that advertisers are shying away from AEW because, as we know, it's a TV-14 program, it's wrestling, they often involve matches that are really violent, and the same thing happened to TNA on Destination America, no advertisers wanted to place ads on it. Hockey, on the other hand, has been advertiser-friendly. It's a sport, young men watch it. NHL is probably the program that TNT had been looking for all this time in order to make more ad money. It might get less viewers than AEW, but it's hockey. Having NHL certainly increases their value much more than having the NBA on its own. Maybe AEW will get lucky. Maybe TNT or NHL will cave to Tony Khan's sympathy and allow AEW to keep their Wednesday slot. But then again, this isn't the Ted Turner regime. They're not going to protect AEW just because it's wrestling, they're going to make business decisions in the end. And after this NHL deal, you can pretty much realize the second wrestling show isn't going to happen. The AEW PR guy Dave Meltzer keeps saying that it's coming, but first of all, where will they put it? Second, it's taking them nearly twice as long for them to get it off the ground than it's taken them to get Dynamite to TV. If there was ever a second show, it's the Roads to the Top reality show, which is likely going to air during the summer and before the fall season starts.